Oh, hello there. For the month of March, I'm going to be running a Pokemon pen and paper version game. I like that they say pen and paper because that's what Germans say for TTRPGs. But this will be a four-part actual play called The Great Poke Heist, and all of the players are playing as members of Team Rocket. And so they are going to be having all different kinds of adventures and coming to the bottom of some interesting stuff. So this is my first time ever running the Pokemon pen and paper version TTRPG, and so I thought it would be useful to just read through the PDF. Useful for me, but also maybe other people want to play it. It's only 20 pages long, including this cover, so it's not terribly big. But let's check it out. So it is unofficial. It is designed by Sage GC, and you can get it for free on itch, which I probably should have shared. Let me grab that really quick. Let's see. No. Not what I wanted. Let's see. Pokemon pen and paper. There it is. I'll go ahead and pop that into the chat for anyone who is interested. You can download it for free. Very exciting. There we go. Okay, so we have our lovely table of contents. What you need, building your characters and all of that, including classes and stuff. Let's see, how do I love the artwork here. That's really pretty. So, forward. Hello there, welcome to the world of Pokemon. This system is an unofficial, non-sponsored, non-canon homebrew with no affiliation to Nintendo or the Pokemon Company. Thus, it will always be free, and thus, it will always be yours. So when running a game of Pokemon pen and paper version, don't be afraid of making personal tweaks or embellishments to suit your liking. I mean, people do that with any TTRPG anyway. Almost everything you're about to dive into was designed for the podcast 20-Sided Stories, and therefore meant to be heard first and played like a game second. Expect a little bit of clunk when balancing long-term campaigns. All of this to say, consider pen and paper version more of a storytelling tool rather than a set of challenges to overcome. Battling works as it does in the core video games, quite literally, but micromanagement is otherwise kept to an absolute minimum. This is a story game meant to assist you on an open-ended adventure. So if all of that sounds like something you and your pals are into, then welcome. This PDF will serve as your quick start guide on how to create a trainer, catch Pokemon, and be the best there ever was. Let your imagination run wild, let all of your nostalgia burst uncaged. Despite its famous slogan, Pokemon's success was not just built on catching them all. I say Pokemon is about teamwork, building strong bonds, appreciating nature and science, and the cathartic buildup of a long, strenuous journey. If you approach pen and paper version with this mindset, some wondrous memories may lie just ahead of you. Your very own Pokemon adventure is about to unfold. A world of dreams and adventures with Pokemon awaits. Let's go. I love that forward. That is delightful. So you need pencils, trainer sheets, fudge dice, which I do have physical fudge dice. I have never used fudge dice before, so I am very interested to see how this will go. So there are, let's see. So there's two of each. So there's the minus, plus, and then nothing. So I don't know if I, as the DM, need these either. We'll see. But yes, they're very pretty. So 2 per player. We'll see. 1D100, 1D6, and 1D4. Laptop, computer, smartphone with internet, times 2. Okay. And then they have links to Bulbapedia, a type calculator, cool, and Pokemon Showdown, which I know that we need for any Pokemon battles and stuff. And with I'm sure you can see that with the PDF, they are actual links in the PDF, so that's kind of cool. Also, this dude looks so defeated. Just like, hang on. Look at this guy. Look at this man's. I love him. Oh, and I know that the The stream still says that it's Pokemon Gold, but whatever. I guess I should change that. Read through of Pokemon pen and paper TTRPG book. What would the category be? Writing and reading, I guess? Kind of? Kind of. That's fine. Done. Okay, it's saved, hypothetically, I don't know, but in any case. So for building characters, the party Pokemon Pen and Paper version is envisioned as a cooperative experience intended for 1 to 6 players led by a GM, a game master. 3 players and 1 GM is the sweet spot. Well, I have 5 players because I love telling stories, and the more players, the better, in my opinion, with that. The players/trainers will be typically battling as a team. This means each trainer can catch and own as many Pokemon as they want, but you'll only have a shared max of 6 in the party at any given time. Good to know. Depending on how many trainers are playing, you're all going to need to communicate to make sure the share of Pokemon in the party is fair. For example, 3 trainers using 2 Pokemon each for an even split. You may opt to not face the Indigo League as a team. We're not doing that. Battling independently while still traveling together in your story. This is totally possible, but note that it will extend the length of the journey, particularly if each trainer wishes to collect their own badges. We're not doing badges. This also means you will need additional computers/connections so each player/trainer can manage and battle with their Pokemon team separately. Stats. Each trainer has a set of stats for overcoming obstacles outside of a Pokemon battle. This can range anywhere from convincing someone to trust you to pushing that same person off a boat. Cool. Stats are the main crux of the role-playing game, and will influence your improv, character, and stories through additions or subtractions on your dice rolls. I will read through that after the building character section. And same for the classes and stuff. So each trainer also has a class that tweaks how good or bad they are at using aforementioned stats. These do not define your character to their core. They should serve merely as a guide on the kind of Pokemon they may pursue and their background within the world. One of my players has already built her character, and I'm very excited about it. Backstory. In terms of story, the first question the Game Master will want to ask is, what region will we be in? Each has wildly different climates, cultures, and possibilities. And there's also an expansion to this that includes links to stuff that is very useful for regions and stuff, and I'm very excited about that. Anyway, now let's start to fill it in. There's no wrong way to build a narrative around your characters, but one thing is for certain. You must talk to each other. Telling this story will be a team effort, so everyone's opinions and creativity is equally important. So, some questions to ask. Well, obviously keeping in mind that this is going to be Team Rocket, not trainers. But how old is your trainer? What region and town are they from? Does anyone know each other? What has your Pokemon trainer been up to? What inspired you to start this journey? And don't answer this now, but keep it in the back of all of your minds throughout the journey. What kind of Pokemon trainer team will you become? Something very interesting to note, as my players are going to be Team Rocket members. Trainer stats. Okay, so just as Pokemon have stats under the hood, attack, defense, etc., Pokemon trainers have their own set as well. But instead of mathematical benefits, trainer stats are represented more broadly and emotionally. Whenever a trainer is attempting to accomplish something with a chance of failure, the GM will call upon one of 12 stats to be tested. Okay, and they're all listed here. There are 3 different categories with 4 stats under each. So we have body, mind, and soul. So, which is very interesting. It's such a common breakdown of things, the body, mind, soul. In Candela Obscura, you have body, brain, and bleed, which is magic, so kind of soul as well, that kind of thing. I find that so interesting. Okay, so under body, we have brawn, raw physical body strength. This is how you punch bad guys and lift rocks. Health, where defense is the immediate ability to stave off pain, health is your ability to sustain and recover. This is a measure of overall biological well-being. Swiftness, speed, agility, and reaction time. Good swiftness means you always go first. Defense, in the inverse of brawn, this is a trainer's resistance to pain and injury. How well can you brace for impact? Cool. I like how they describe those. Mind, we have sense, the ability to perceive, spot, and notice things using the 5 senses. Sense is passive, and a check must be prompted from the GM. Wisdom, inner knowledge gained through time and experience. You would test wisdom to find deeper understanding. Smarts, hard knowledge gained through education and memory. You would test smarts to see if the trainer had learned a particular fact or pattern. Nerve, focus, discipline, and ability to stay rational. You would test nerve on a trainer when they need to stay brave and calm. Like that a lot. Soul, we have charisma, influence over others, and general likability. This is usually tied to a trainer's social skills. I am copy editing this in my head as I'm reading, and I've already found at least 2 mistakes on this page. Anyway. Confidence, self-assurance, and standing your ground. You would test this to lie or own the room. I see 3 mistakes now. Intuition, having a trustworthy gut feeling, kind of like sense, but of the heart. This stat should be called upon in higher stakes moments of trust. And then luck, the influence of the universe's natural flow. This is a wildcard stat that should usually be tested in addition to something else to add a dash of magic. I like that, it's very whimsical. And honestly, a lot of these stats are very similar in concept to like D&D, Pathfinder stats, those kinds of things. So I think that will really help players who, none of us have ever played the system before, but it'll help players to kind of conceptualize it as well. So I think that that's really, really handy. I like that a lot. Because sometimes stats are just too vague, you know? Okay, moving along. Every Pokemon trainer has a class that represents their core strengths and weaknesses. They will be granted additional pluses or minuses to dice rolls that call upon respective stats, as well as a bonus to catching specific types of Pokemon. Classes also help flesh out a character's backstory and personality, but you are encouraged to not restrict them to an NPC-like stereotype. So we have Xander Witten, I love these examples, is a musician, so his chances at succeeding certain things are a bit different and more modest. Plus swiftness, charisma, health, and plus 10 catch bonus to electric and rock. I like that a lot, electric and rock, because he's a musician. He doesn't get as many pluses as Cadence, but he also gets no minuses. Oh yeah, that is important to note. Cadence Carter is an ace trainer. This defines her skills and preferences. So she gets pluses to nerve, swiftness, intuition, and confidence, but a minus to charisma, and a +5 catch bonus to all types. These modifiers are called upon when she has to overcome an obstacle or a stat is tested. Okay, and then finally, in addition to stats, each trainer also has something called a catch bonus. This makes a trainer better at catching certain specific types of Pokemon. So Lass/Youngster has a plus to luck, nerve, charisma, and confidence, but minuses to brawn and wisdom. And they have a plus 10 catch bonus to normal and fighting types. So, okay. I was just like, who is Skip Svitak? But that's this particular trainer. Okay. A youngster who has an advantage to catching normal and fighting types. The class you choose will greatly influence your decisions along the journey, and unless the GM decides otherwise, it is permanent. I think that's flexible. So choose wisely. You can pick from one of the presets on the next page or build yourself a custom identity altogether. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so we have this whole list of various trainer types. So I'm trying to see, I think that Jolene combined 2 different types, and I really liked how she did it with her background, which I won't reveal because I feel like she should reveal that on stream. But we have ace trainer, backpacker, beauty, biker/cyclist, bird keeper, black belt, breeder, bug catcher, burglar, chandler, chef/cook/baker, dragon tamer. Lance doesn't, he has like one dragon. I hate it. Anyway, fisherman, gambler, juggler/fire breather, lass/youngster. That is so hard to say. Youngster/lass. I think is a little bit easier to say, but musician, polka fan, psychic. I like that they changed it from polka fan from Pokemaniac. I hate Pokemaniac as a term. Anyway, psychic, sage, scientist/engineer, swimmer, and then custom. So cool. Okay, picking starters. So you can't start a Pokemon journey without making that famous difficult decision, who will be your first companion. If running a one-shot, very short, or very specific campaign, you may opt to ignore this section and have players pick any Pokemon within a certain level range. No matter what, make sure to discuss upfront when picking classes on previous pages. Otherwise, before the start of the game, have the table discuss the two following options. So they have Classic Start and Little Cup Start. I'm going to read through this, but I'm having my players pick 1 to 2 Pokemon as their starting, so to speak, Pokemon, but might be their only Pokemon, seeing as they do like the combination, the pool of 6 Pokemon, and there are 5 of them. But let's see, Little Cup Start. Since pen and paper version is envisioned as a creative open-ended experience, players will pick from any Pokemon in the Little Cup list, which consists primarily of low-stat, first evolution, or non-evolving Pokemon. Using the Little Cup League as a reference, trainers will either act out or come up with a backstory involving one Pokemon from the list. Ignore Smogon's competitive exceptions, everything else is on the table. Okay. And so then they have the link to that. And then the Classic Start, depending on your chosen region, the local Pokemon professor has 3 starters to choose from, and characters cannot pick duplicates. The picking order will be determined by everyone rolling a D100, the highest to lowest. If playing more than 3 players, the GM should pick some other Little Cup choices from that region that feel appropriate. Pichu and Eevee are obvious additions, no matter what region you're playing in, but don't be afraid to try out others. All you need is a good type variety and to make sure every player feels excited and satisfied. I appreciate that comment being in there. Smogon's competitive exceptions sounds like a magical knick-knack shop. It really does. I'm curious. I'm going to look at that later, but that does amuse me. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'll take a look at the Little Cup Start thing. Like, I want them to enjoy playing this and playing with their favorite Pokemon. So like, if it were me, I would be playing with Togepi, for example, because he's my baby boy. I love him to death. I don't care if he's not the best Pokemon in the world, because I love him. But yes, I want them to have fun with this, and it's a 4-part series. Okay, tests and checks. When testing stats for their trainer, the player rolls 2 fudge dice, 2 DF. Oh, that would be an ugly combo. Let's do these ones. So, we've got our 2 dice, which has plus sides, minus sides, and blank sides. These will be tallied up and determine a result from 6 different possibilities. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm going to roll just for funsies. Okay, got a plus and a minus. So I think that's net. Yeah. Okay, so we have super effective with 2 pluses. Incredible. Whatever you were trying to do works with an added bonus reward or flair. 1 success. It works. Pretty straightforward. Good job. I like that. Not very effective is 1 minus. It does not work. Rarely there will be a need for punishment here, but you're gonna have to try something else. Critical failure with 2 minuses. Uh-oh, this is bad news. Not only is there a failure, but something extra is gonna sting. So the one that I rolled was net, which is a plus and a minus. Well, everything canceled each other out. This means we leave it up to the hive mind. Oh, I like that. The GM will either intervene with what they think is best for the story, or the players will simply continue the scene, messily solving it through organic improv and roleplay. I love that. Blanks. If a player rolls double blanks, all stat strengths and weaknesses are ignored and the trainer succeeds at the action. Oh, interesting. But they have to use their hidden power stat and only that stat to overcome the obstacle. Oh, that's fun. I like that a lot. I'm curious. Hey, I just rolled 2 blanks. I was just like, what would it take? Let's see what it does. I love these stats. I've never used fudge dice before. It's very, very simple if you think about it, but it's fun. I like that. Okay, so hidden power. Every Pokemon in the video games has a secret hidden power, and in pen and paper version, the trainers have it too. Every player may pick one stat that their trainer has no plus bonuses to and mark it. If they roll blanks, the test is an absolute success, but how exactly to interpret the use of the hidden power is totally up to you. The catch being, you have to use that stat and only that stat to overcome the obstacle. This can be tricky and you'll need to get creative. I love that so much. That's really cool. Okay, so as an example, in 20-Sided Stories, Candace Carter, I thought that they were their characters. Okay, earned a reputation for rolling hidden power brawn quite often. In most of these cases, brawn had no use for what was being tested, so Candace would get angry and beat up whoever was in sight. Through some fun improv, this would somehow lead to success, usually from an NPC being overcome with fear. Think about what sort of personal arc you may want to take your trainer on as they adventure through the region and pick a hidden power stat that could help you reach it. It's a secret advantage trainers try to hide or perhaps don't even know they have, unleashing only in rare and random circumstances. Have fun with it. Oh, I love it. Ooh, that's really cool. Okay, HMs and Pokemon assists. If your Pokemon is able to assist you in a particular task, you can toss another single dice in on their behalf. A net means they either neither hinder nor help, and a blank means their special abilities caused some extraneous effect that the GM will describe. Example, your trainer needs to convince a clerk to give them a discount on a soda pop. You roll a plus-minus net, but your Eevee is so friggin' cute, you know she can sweeten the deal. You throw in an extra 1DF and get a plus. Hooray, the clerk just can't say no to those eyes. That's cute. So HMs, hidden machines, which I had looked up previously and discovered that that's what that means, and it blows my mind, do not require rolls. However, and this is a change from the video games, if your Pokemon has fainted, then they do require a basic roll to muster up the strength. I appreciate that. It's always so funny to me when a fainted Pokemon can, like, do a whirlpool or whatever. Let's see. And while you do not need to teach your Pokemon an HM move for them to use it outside of battle, trainers must actually have the HM in their inventory and have a Pokemon in their party that can actually use the move. If the Pokemon is handling a check on their own, meaning not performing the action with the trainer, they will have to use their own type weaknesses and advantages based on the current environment. Love it. The GM should take note of what's at play and mention if there are any types that could interfere with the Pokemon's ability. Are they weak to rock types and in a cave? Are they effective against water types and out at sea? Take a look at the following chart and decide how their role is affected. Cool. Love it. Beautiful. So 2 minuses, they take 4 times the damage. 1 minus, it takes 2 times damage. Positive takes half or a quarter to up to a quarter, half to a quarter damage, and then immune to type if it's 2 pluses. Okay, example, your trainer is being attacked by a Team Rocket grunt and can't move. You call on your Scyther to help and go in for a cut. You roll 1DF with a positive, but unfortunately you're near the Cinnabar volcano and Scyther is 2 times weak to fire. After including the minus penalty, it cancels out to a net. Scyther's useless. Brownie face. Example 2. Your Umbreon wants to break some weird psychic kid out of their trance. You roll a minus, but Umbreon has full immunity from psychic types. With an additional 2 positives, this becomes a plain success. The one exception to immunity is ghost to normal types, which are unaffected by each other. Get creative with that one. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I'm gonna have to take notes. It won't take much to take notes on this, so it's fine. I'm just reading it right now. Otherwise, there are a lot of potential combinations, so don't overthink it. Just keep that defensive type calculator handy. Okay. If there are no obvious types at play, then skip the chart entirely and only use the single die result as you would with a regular assist. Cool. Battling! So, this is no doubt where Pokemon Pen and Paper version gets the most unorthodox. But have no fear, with a little bit of practice, you'll be having epic Pokemon battles in no time with no problem. Combat is very notorious in tabletop game design. In a lot of ways, it should be where the most exciting part of the game, where stakes are high. Okay, they have an extra where in there. It should be the most exciting part of the game where stakes are high and everything is moving really fast. But in play, it often becomes the opposite. Everything slows down and becomes methodical, emotional conflict is cast aside, and the rules become the main character. Pokemon battles are at the very heart of what makes the video games what they are, and there's so much to keep track of when translating a video game design to a board game design, so for me, tracking this by hand was not an option. Pokemon Pen and Paper version uses Pokemon Showdown, an unofficial but very well-made Pokemon battle simulator to capture the feel of the handheld games. That's cool. Note, Pen and Paper version has no affiliation with the team at Pokemon Showdown, but they are badass and we thank them dearly for their hard work. The GM and the player team will want to make separate accounts on Pokemon Showdown 1v1. This is a good opportunity for trainers to name their team. A trainer could even be designated as the team leader who exclusively operates the device. This is especially needed for remote play. Pokemon Showdown can be used in a web browser or downloaded as a client to open off your desktop. As a GM, it's a good idea to learn the ins and outs of Pokemon Showdown so you can help your players as needed. I'm curious to see if we're going to be able to get this on the stream. I'm going to have to ask Jen about that. If we can have like a little screen aside, or if there's even space. I don't know. Okay. So you'll want to build your teams in an anything goes format category. For 20-sided stories, we use Gen 7 anything goes. Okay. You can back up your teams locally and organize them into folders. It's good to stay organized and you'll need to update things regularly. When a character declares a battle, you can challenge the GM's account on Pokemon Showdown or vice versa, then pick the appropriate team when prompted. Players will mostly use their own team that they build upon, but be ready to build some solo/double alternates when the story calls for it. In between battles and travels, make sure to update your team and Pokemon levels. You can tweak all sorts of stats to make sure every Pokemon is accurate and fighting fit. Okay. This is going to be the most complicated part of the game, I think. Use the generation that is appropriate to your campaign by visiting that Pokemon's Bulbapedia page and scrolling down to their Learn set. If you would prefer to not spoil the progression, communicate with the GM to make sure they're keeping tabs for you. Some caveats: there are no items, potions, XPs, etc. This really changes strategies, but during testing I found that after a couple of battles I did not miss them. Valid. So let's see. There are, however, hold items. As a GM, don't be afraid to sprinkle these throughout the world as rewards and random finds. Okay. Good to know. Players can mark them in their inventory and swap them out as needed. Health also does not carry over in between battles, so on those long cave crawls, it's all or nothing. Pokemon are able for battle, or they fainted and are unable to battle. Are able to battle, but they are fainted and are unable to battle until you reach a Pokemon Center. Again, this change takes a little getting used to, but I found it naturally streamlines the story flow and creates a different kind of tension that still works. Remember to have fun with roleplay and dialogue. Use callouts, stay in character, and don't let the added tech and info weigh down on your imagination. Okay. Encounters. There's a vast world of challenges and possibilities out there. Throughout your story, trainers will travel through thick, tall grass, pitch black caves, mysterious ruins, and all sorts of wilderness. This is where you catch new Pokemon and train for battles ahead. The GM will need to put some prep into sessions and make mock teams based on what may occur. This includes building gyms and NPC trainer teams, as well as possible wild Pokemon en routes. Thanks, yes. Okay. Yeah, this is going to require a little bit of prep in an interesting and different kind of way. So for wild Pokemon, consult Bulbapedia and build out possibilities for the route or area the trainers will be exploring. When an encounter feels appropriate or a trainer is specifically looking, roll a d6 and use the result to pick which Pokemon on the wild team comes out first. Example, from left to right and from 1 to 6, Caterpie, Weedle, Metapod, Kakuna, Pikachu, and a different Metapod make up the 6 possible wild Pokemon that might appear while in Viridian Forest. If the GM rolls a 5, put Pikachu in front of the team and start a battle through Pokemon Showdown. There's no catching mechanic built into Pokemon Showdown. Instead, the battle will pause and resume with the trainer's catch attempts. If the wild Pokemon is defeated or caught, end the battle in the simulator prematurely. Okay. If you had wanted back-to-back encounters or swarm of sorts, then keep it running and let the trainers decide how to proceed. Maintaining balance with Pokemon Showdown can be challenging at first, so make sure to communicate with everyone when you need to pause and adjust moves, levels, etc. If there's a mistake and something totally unfair slips through, it's okay for the table to rewind and run the encounter again. Okay, interesting. So, catching Pokemon. When trainers attempt to catch a Pokemon, players will have to roll a D100. Most dice sets come with a D10 and a D00, which you combine to get the tens and single digits places, respectively. The players will then take the number and consult the table of catching. Any advantages they have, such as an improved Pokeball or status effect put on the wild Pokemon being fought, are taken into account. The higher the score, the better. To catch a Pokemon, your final total needs to be at least 90. So we have the ball types: regular, great, ultra. Health is at 100, 75, 50, 25. The status: sleep, paralysis, frozen, poison, burned, confused, infatuation. Level, lower level, higher level, than the Pokemon you have out, I assume. Type bonus, see the class. So if the Pokemon is a final evolution or a legendary, you must get a full 99 or higher to catch it. Okay. And with all of these modifiers, of course, you can absolutely get over 100%. So once the Pokemon is caught, congrats! End the battle and pull out a new sheet for it. If the trainers already have 6 Pokemon in the party shared among them, the newly caught Pokemon will have to be either sent to Bill's PC or swapped out before they can proceed. I might play with that a little bit. We'll see. Leveling. One of the most exciting parts of a Pokemon journey is watching your team improve and harden with each battle. If running a one-shot or a shorter campaign, you may opt to skip this entirely, but Pokemon Showdown does not track XP, and it would yet again be cumbersome, nay, near impossible to feasibly do this by hand during the flow of gameplay in a way that mirrors the video games. So how do we grant progression on those longer adventures? So 1, each Pokemon defeated grants a level gained. I like that. If a trainer's Pokemon wins against another, mark down a point to allocate after the battle is over. This does not include wild Pokemon. Roll a d4 for each route passed. When the trainers make their way through a chunk of the region, have them each roll a d4. They can then allocate these points across the Pokemon they want to have used throughout the route to account for miscellaneous wild Pokemon battles. This should not include backtracking unless a couple days of in-game time passes. With pen and paper version, the goal is to have less but overall more meaningful battles. No need to grind through tall grass here. Let time pass cinematically and treat each session like its very own anime episode. I appreciate that note. Tip: have trainers roleplay the recollection of these time skips. Oh, cool. When camping at night or as they get into town, talk about how the training went, who level up the most, any interesting landmarks. Depending on your party's personal flow, the GM may want to grant an extra d4, roll none at all, or sprinkle in some rare candies as a victory reward. As mentioned, you'll want to keep a handy Bulbapedia or Cerebi article up for each Pokemon in the party so trainers can learn moves and evolve their Pokemon at the appropriate times. Story generators. So, feeling stuck on what to do next? Didn't have time to prep but need to give your players a good session? Just looking for a bit of wild card inspiration? Have no fear. Here are 3 different ways to get some creative juices flowing and an encounter on the table. Keeping in mind, of course, that my players are playing as Team Rocket. So method 1, simple item quest. Roll 3d6 using the table below to generate a combo. So, you know what? I don't have any. Hang on, let me grab my dice. I was just like, where did the dice go? Oop. Excuse you. So let's roll 3d6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3, and I rolled 1, a 2, and a 3. So Team Rocket needs a mystery Pokemon egg. Beautiful. Okay. So just as an example, 6, 3, 4. So Pokemart Manager wants a special bike. And so on. Cerebi is an amazing website built with love and is often regarded as the best Pokemon repository going. Okay, I have never heard of it before. I'll check it out. So method 2, Bulbapedia is a phenomenal resource on everything within and around the wonderful world of Pokemon. Use the button below to open up a random article. Who knows what it might inspire? And then method 3, grab a D100 and roll away. On the next page, find your number and use the prompt to get an adventure going. If it's not quite what you're looking for, roll again. You are also encouraged to swap in alternate locations, Pokemon, NPCs, etc. at your leisure. Cool. My goodness. I'm not reading this whole thing. It's a lot. I like number 64, Mew, 3? The owner is a dedicated Pokemon fan and deserves a lot of love from the Pokemon community. Okay, awesome. I'm just looking at some of these. I'm not going to read all of them. Determined Fisherman, number 41. Determined Fisherman is on the verge of catching the Loch Ness Monster. Okay. 87. Rotom Phone has a mind of its own and can't do that, Dave. What? 53. Pewter City Museum is getting defunded. Oh, that's painful. 20. Beauty Contest has a huge victory payout, but is hiding a dark secret. I've seen Roll Table, but that is a table. Yeah. Rollable table, but that is a table. Yeah. Oh my god. Number 90. If playing kid trainers, let's sneak into an R-rated movie. If not, let's make an R-rated movie. What? Okay. 93. A mythical Pokemon is being pursued by shady forces and needs escorts. Cool. I like this. It's wild that there's this D100 table. That's so much. Conclusion. One of the many things that makes the world of Pokemon special is that unique sense of whimsy, discovery, and empowerment. Few franchises have delivered the sense of building strong bonds over time as you do in Pokemon. It's a vast world with lore as wide as an ocean but as deep as a puddle. It can be a breezy little pocket distraction, a complex and competitive rock, paper, scissors, or an emotional, epic, grandiose journey across the continent. Every Pokemon is someone's favorite, and every generation has unique flavors and styles. It's what you make of it. But since a kid, there's always been something blatantly missing for me, and that is co-op. Pokemon Let's Go is, at the time of writing this, still the only true Pokemon game where two players can work together and face the Pokemon League. And Player 2 is still put on the back burner every step of the way. Thus, with Pokemon Pen and Paper version, both in the 20-sided stories adventure and in the design of this system, I encourage embracing teamwork. Gen 3, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, introduced the idea of double battles, and I've latched onto that ever since. As in most D&D/TTRPGs, you will likely need to battle as a team, so everyone should consult and take their fellow trainers into account where possible. But build together and bond together. This is the classic Game Boy adventure without the bounds and restrictions of a video game. Your friends aren't in other dimensions doing the same exact thing with a different Pokemon team, simply there to trade with or occasionally battle across some weird fourth wall breaking link cable. No, this world and these bonds are yours to share with truly no creative limits. I love that. And that is what I think makes Pen and Paper version its own special thing. And now it's yours. Explore and enjoy. I am always available for feedback and questions or simply to hear about what fun story you told with pen and paper version. Thanks for reading and happy adventuring. Sage GC. Beautiful. And here's all of the credits. So designed by Sage GC, testing by Travis Reeves, Jessica Dahlgren, Greg Reasoner, I like that last name, Grant Buffard, I said that very French, Noah Strutridge, Zach Daly, and David Merhuisen, I have no idea. Sorry. Artwork from 20 Sided Stories by Marissa Bernstell and Ariana Kabebe. Various sprites from Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal, Fire Red, Leaf, Green versions. There's a dash between Leaf and Green that I don't think belongs there. It's Leaf Green, right? Additional sprites from Laytonator and Rodmunch via Reddit. This document has zero affiliation with Nintendo, the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, Inc., Pokemon Showdown, Bulbapedia, or Smogon. All product names, trademarks, and copyrights are the property of their respective owners. So there you have it. This is the next AP that I'm going to be running on Girls Run These Worlds, and I'm very excited to tackle it. Definitely reading through this on stream helped me a lot to kind of focus in on mechanics and things like that, which is very helpful, and also the things that I have to prep before the sessions, which is extensive, which is absolutely fine. And we'll see how things go. I'm excited for my Team Rocket. It's gonna be a good time. I will see y'all next time. Have a good one. Bye.